Hey guys, Alex V coming at you. It is April 11th, it's Wednesday. Random words of the day. Thanks for joining us today. We are going to do our first PO3 video. PO3, which is power of threes. So these videos are going to be a little bit different than random words of the day. They're not really going to focus on a word or phrase or something natively creative that we normally talk about. And it's also not a digital marketing moment. So although, you know, some of the PO3 videos we might have to do with digital marketing, but PO3 is really kind of like my nomenclature for how to address certain things in the workplace, mainly leadership-oriented things or issues that come up using the power of threes, which is, you know, using 3 easily rememberable steps or methods to overcome a certain situation or to make the most out of something or to execute on something properly, because the power of threes, in my opinion, is very rememberable, it's very easy to do, and usually there's some alliteration in there where the 3 things that we talk about are, you know, usually starting with the same letter, like PPP, like today's is going to be a P word, and another P word, right? So we're going to talk about today the work-to-work rule, how not to violate the work-to-work rule in PO3. So what's the work-to-work rule? Very simply, it's when your team, if you're a leader, when your team or you end up in a situation where you're constantly feeling that you have to work just to get to do your work. Okay? It's a horrible feeling in the workplace. It's a horrible dynamic because a lot of times people will get very frustrated on this and they will even burn out on it after a while if they remain in that state where they're like, I feel like I'm just having to fight. I'm having to do all this work just to get to the point where I can do my work. Okay? And so this is a very important thing for you as a leader, especially if you're leading a digital marketing team or a marketing team in general. You need to address this and make sure this dynamic does not take roots in your department or your organization, because I'm going to tell you right now, nothing will grind the morale down faster for your team than them feeling like they got to fight to do their job. Okay? That's no good. So, fortunately, the things that you can do is, number one, in order to not violate this sacrosanct rule, you need to make sure that you're dividing work up in your mind into 2 buckets. 1, preparatory work, and 2, project work, right? A lot of times what happens is you'll have a project and all the work associated with it is kind of ill-defined. Well, we have to do this project. This is what we got to do. But there end up being a lot of preparatory steps before you can even begin to do the project, all right? I like to talk about banner ad campaigns as a perfect example of this because, all right, we're going to do a banner ad campaign. You know, we're going to pick our targets. We're going to make banners. We're going to launch it. Well, you can't, right? Why? Well, because you haven't made an audience yet, maybe, a segment. You haven't defined a landing page yet. Maybe you need more than 1 landing page. Usually you need more than 1 landing page, maybe 5 or 6 landing pages or whatever. And before you can do that, you need some brand work. You need to actually have the images for the landing pages. And before you can do the brand work, maybe you need native photography. There's all these preparatory things that have got to go down before you can actually do the project. You understand what I'm saying? So you need to separate work into 2 buckets, because once you do that, then you'll be able to execute these 3 Ps, and I'm going to tell you what the 3 Ps are right now. Well, number 1, presentation. You need to do a presentation, okay? Those of you who hate death by PowerPoint, I'm in the same boat. I hate death by PowerPoint, but here's the deal, guys. You need to do a full-blown presentation to your team that includes both the preparatory work and the project work. That way everybody's on the same page and nobody feels like they've got to do work just to do their work, right? Because everybody understands what the preparatory work is, everybody understands what the project work is, right? So I always say minimum 6-slide presentation for any project, any campaign that's going to go down, because it gets everybody on the same page, everybody understands the preparatory side, everybody understands the main project side of it, and the KPIs and everything like that, okay? So number 1, you got to do presentation. Number 2, you got to parcel, okay? Or partition, parcel or partition, whatever you want to call it, but you got to partition those 2 buckets out amongst people, which is a 3rd P, but we'll forget about that for a second. So partition. In your presentation, at the end of it, there needs to be an output that says, you are doing this, and it's preparatory. 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 And then you are doing this for the main project once all of that prep work has come together, right? So there is a high degree of communication and clarity in terms of partitioning out that work in those 2 buckets, the preparatory work and the actual project work, okay? When you do that, something magical happens. Then everybody understands the work in general to be done, not the work to do the work. It all becomes part of the main project magically, right? So it's not something where people are feeling like, oh my gosh, I got to work just to do my job here. No, we've actually built kind of a process around this. We've partitioned it out. We made a presentation so everybody's on the same page, okay? So presentation and partition, or parceling out. And then the last thing, and this is key, guys, this is key. When unexpected things happen and gaps occur in the project or the preparatory work, because sometimes they do, sometimes things get missed, sometimes we say, oh, no, I forgot about that. That needs to be done ahead of time. Pick up. Pick up. These are the 3 most powerful words. If you're a boss or you're a leader in digital marketing or marketing in general, these are the 3 most powerful words you can utter to your team. I'll handle it. Okay? Not I'll do it, because sometimes you're going to have to delegate to a different department or somebody. You say, I'll handle it. Okay? Because it imparts a sense of purpose. It lets them know that the project is still under control. Okay? And lets them know you're going to pick that up onto your plate, you know? So a lot of times you will end up handling whatever that gap is yourself, okay? Other times you're going to divert that maybe to somebody else that's already finished their preparatory side of it and say, hey, I'd like to divert this to you. Can you also do this preparatory thing? Sure, no problem, great. But pickup is so important, because a lot of times what'll happen with a boss or a leader is they'll do this and they'll be like, oh, we forgot about that. And that's it. Nobody mentions it. And then the team's like, so who's going to do that? Are we going to do that? And then somebody dives in to do it. And they're just like, I feel like I'm just playing defense here, trying to do this thing because nobody else is doing it. There's no clarity. It's a mess, right? So power of 3s. How can you protect? How can you avoid violating the work to work rule or the perception of that? 3 things. Number 1, make sure you have a presentation for your entire team that deals with both the preparatory work side of it and the main project. Number 2, make sure you partition everything out in detail to all of your people. And number 3, get ready to pick up. Pick up the slack as a boss, either doing it yourself or making sure that you address those gaps that occur as they come along, and you kind of divert them where they need to go. That's the power of 3s and how not to violate the work-to-work rule. If you do that, your team will feel great about their projects, they will feel great about everything that they do, and they will not feel like they have to fight just to do their job, okay? Because there's a great sense of accomplishment, there's a great sense of purpose, there's a great sense of planning and preparation behind everything, and everything is very well illustrated and articulated and communicated ahead of time, okay? So that's today's PO3, Power of 3s, guys. I hope you like that. That's a little bit insight, just, you know, from my past lives in leading digital marketing teams, and kind of understanding the dynamic there and helping your team to avoid violating that having to work just to do your job rule. You never want to get in that situation, like I said before. If you like what we're doing here, go ahead and click subscribe below. We'll have more PO3s coming at you. We'll definitely have more random words of the day this week and more digital marketing moments coming up. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great day, and I'll see you later. Bye-bye.